I've always been intrigued by stories and how they connect our world. Sadly enough, many times we're defined by what culture says is right, our shame, and even our past. In our busy world filled with work, highlight reels, and social isolation, it's imperative that we honor community and real relationship. Joy is our portion, love is our anchor, and I think that what we'll find is that our stories bring us closer together, even when the world tries to bring us further apart. So I decided to start a series where I'll be interviewing influencers to see how the effects of culture, shame, and mental health have had an impact on their journeys. I want to let you in so we can grow together. This is Mental Wealth. Okay, we're live. We are live. Guys, I am so excited. Welcome to the next episode of Mental Wealth. I got my sister on here, my friend, Susan Heyward. I feel like she needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce her anyway. Acting extraordinaire, wonderful Black excellence, wonderful human being. I'm just going to bring her in right now. Susan, welcome.
I'm like, who is he talking about? Oh my
God. I am so happy that you're here. This is just going to be so natural just because, like,
Kiki. We're
you
Kiki.
see, listen, I am just so excited. Let's just hop right into it. I mean, how are you doing? What's happening? How are you?
I'm good. I feel good. The first few months of the pandemic were they were crazy stressful for everyone. And I'm an introvert, so I like being alone. And then being alone was very, very bad. And I'm on the other end of that. You know, I got, because we're talking about it, I made sure to start therapy consistently.
Wow.
And let the pandemic really shift my goals. So working on those goals and kind of keeping in touch with my mental health practice has been a game changer and a lifesaver. So feeling
wow.
good.
That's incredible. I mean, I'm right there with you. Like, why does my Southern accent? I'm not even from the South. Why is that coming out?
It's me. It's me. I will absolutely take credit for that.
I said I'm right there.
On the phone with your mama.
Right. No, I'm right there with you though. Like, mental health is so important, and we're going to segue into that as well in this conversation today. But I'm right there with you. I think the pandemic taught us that. Yeah, it's not good to be alone. I'm an extrovert. And so I think I saw a meme or something that was like, make sure you check on your extroverted friends because they're not doing well. But no, like, yeah, I'm so glad that you're well now. And are you back in New York City?
Actually, I am back in New York City. At this particular moment, I am in Miami, Florida. I've booked a little commercial spot. So I'm actually down here filming for a little jobby job situation. And then I head back to Brooklyn on Wednesday. Yeah.
Wow, that's exciting. You know what? I have still have not spent a lot of time in Miami. I would love to. Like, people keep telling me I need to get out there. So
it's pretty great. It's pretty great. The last time I was out here was for the American Black Film Festival years and years and years ago. So it's good to be back.
Wow. My gosh, I know you're working on some amazing things. So I want to kick it off also by saying, I remember we were in a coffee shop or something in Brooklyn. You know what I'm talking? You know what I'm about to say. We sat down and I was just going through life and we were just talking about relationships and, community and having a village. But then we also got off on this tip about social media and being engaging on there, but engaging in the right way. I think I might have texted you this. I was like, we came to this thing where we'll be like, but are you useful though?
I need to make that t-shirt. But are you useful though?
But are you useful? I mean, yeah, just in our age of like social media and everything happening and you being an actress and being in the public, how do you engage? What is that process like for you?
I am wildly inconsistent, not gonna lie. It is not something that I feel I've mastered in any way. I use it to kind of share what I'm interested in the moment, what I'm thinking about, but I definitely have whole periods of time where I get on and I consume and I'm like, cool, now I know what everybody else is thinking about. I'm gonna go and kind of live my life. So I'm constantly working to balance it and use it as a tool, right? To share what I care about, to share what I'm interested in, to share where I am. And it's it's not enough. I've cracked. I'll admit that. Not yet, but every day a little closer.
No, I think that's amazing. Like, when I think about it, I'm like, personally, I can't use it as my true north. It's good for letting
Oh
people know about,
God, no.
yeah, just like projects, I'm doing this and that's about it. So I
That's
really,
good.
yeah, like I think that gives me a lot of peace too. But um, there's so
And
much.
just knowing that like it's not for everyone. There's some
Yeah,
people who find their way into it, and it's authentic and it's balanced and it's healthy. They have a team sometimes, and that's great. Knowing who you are in that, I think is the key. That ain't me. Not right
right.
now.
I
Maybe
love
one
that.
day.
No, definitely. I have so many questions for you. I'm gonna try to get through them in 20 minutes, y'all. I'm really gonna try. But what inspired you to be an actress? And my second question is, if you weren't acting, what would you be doing?
Ooh, gosh. Okay, so the thing that inspired me, I think, is watching other people's work. I deeply, deeply, deeply remember Lynn Whitfield playing Josephine Baker on like one of those made-for-TV movies when movies and TV was still like a new thing.
I think.
She was so luminous when she did that, and I love the framing of Josephine's story as someone who's always trying to bring people together. And also, when I was a kid, I saw a regional theater production of The Piano Lesson, and it was so real to me, the lesson of, you had this heirloom, this piano, where the family's history was carved into this piano, and this tug of war of whether or not you give the piano away and use the money to build the family's future, or whether you keep the piano, and it's a symbol of holding on to your family's journey.
Wow.
And I think I was like 8 or 9, but I got it, honey. August was talking to me, and just the
Wow.
the theater ritual of like coming together and everybody being on the same page. I had, my hairs on the back of my neck stood up by the end of it. So those two pieces really inspired me, and trying to be a part of something that inspires anyone the same way is kind of what started this journey for me.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. I love that.
if I wasn't acting, I don't know. It changes every year. This year, this year the answer is probably I'm just like a yoga teacher or Pilates teacher, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really
Okay.
fascinated with the body mind connection and like helping people get in their bodies and feel really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so cool. I mean, hats off to you for pursuing your calling. I think it's an anomaly, even though we talk about it a lot in culture and we talk about it like do this, do that, do what makes you happy, do follow your dreams, blah, blah, blah. It really takes a certain type of individual to press forward
Mm,
in the presence of challenge and in the
mm,
presence of, you still got to pay bills, you still got to do, and sometimes the dream don't match the money, don't match the season. You feel me? So like,
mhm, mhm.
tell us about like, what was like one of your most challenging points in your career where you're like, what's about to happen right now?
Well, I have two responses to that, because the first thing is I can't not mention all of the support that I've had. Like, I was very lucky to be a part of a family that when I said I want to do theater classes, my parents supported that and made sure that after school I got to theater classes and dance classes and piano lessons. So, there is the culture that says follow your dreams, do what you want, but like you can't do that alone. You really, really can't. And so I've had teachers and family members and friends supporting me from day one, and it's paramount. You can't do it without that.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it does take personal perseverance to push through some not fun times. Um, when you ask me that, it takes me back to 2012. Um, it was just a year where nothing went the way I needed it to go. One of my reps passed away, or manager suddenly passed away, and
Wow.
I was doing regional theater out of town, and then back in town. My roommate was like, "I think I have to move, and I can't wait for you to come back." And I was like, I'm a little busy."
Wait, I think I
And
remember you told me that story once.
yeah, that's the I think David Capriola is a casting director in New York. He calls it dark. Well, he called it My Dark Night of the Soul. It was just a time when career-wise, relationships-wise, personally, it felt like I couldn't grab onto anything that would stick. Everything kind of slipped through my fingers. And I remember my parents that winter asking me if they could pay for my flight ticket home. They were like, "Don't worry about it. We got you. We'll pay for the ticket to come home." You know, that community that I mentioned that I was from. But something in me was like, if I get too comfortable, if I accept that particular comfort right now, I might not feel the inner.
Oh snap! Listen,
that you need that grit of like, it's uncomfortable, and it needs to be uncomfortable for me right now. So I stayed in New York that winter and tucked it out with a job that a friend of mine helped me get just to pay the bills. And the top of the next year, 2013, I was able to take an understudy job at Trip to Bountiful, which was my Broadway debut. And, the previous months put me in a place to be properly grateful for that, properly grateful and humble for that experience. And from there, that was like to get on the other side of that mountain, to everything that's come after.
Folks, we need a book. We need a documentary. We need a book. We need a journal, something. You know what? The first time that I met you, you carry a grace, and you carry, I don't know, it's just, you feel like you've known, like when you meet you, it feels like you've known, it's like your whole life. And I have to say, with a lot of like public figures or a lot of people, influencers, that's not always the case. Was that something, is that just like how you're wired, or can you speak to that, to where did someone kind of inspire you to just not, because I feel like you don't even wear what you do like on your shoulders.
Well, that's interesting. Thank you for saying that. I grew up around ministers and my folks are truly people for the people. And growing up, I watched them be of use, right? Like that's the paramount. And part of being of use is always coming to people as another person. Like what we've each done or any titles we have, none of it matters. It just doesn't matter. Like I don't know if I'm gonna hurt somebody's feelings, but at the end of the day, your title is cool, but who are you?
Wow.
And I don't like I flew here yesterday and I was going to the bathroom and this little Latina lady was cleaning the bathroom, and at the end there was a stall that was closed. I was like, oh, there's nothing free. I'm gonna turn around and go. This little lady, she's like, oh honey, don't worry. This one's open. The door is missing. But I'll put a little mop sign here in front of it and put your suitcase here. I got you. I'll take care of you.
Wow.
And it's like someone could look down on her or ignore her, but she's a person, and who she is shown through. And we can't allow ourselves to miss opportunities to just be people.
Wow.
We can't.
That's incredible. That kind of reminds me of something my mom always said. She was someone that spoke to everybody in the room, and she had like this ability to, don't just speak to the person that you think is important, but the person that opened the door for you, the coffee shop, the barista, everyone has inherent value and they should be loved. And this is another reason why I love having you on this show, because you are a woman of faith. And, so tell us about how that, I know
I was thinking of a Bible verse. I was like,
come on now, take us there.
That's that Bible verse. I don't remember. I think it was Proverbs. Listen, anyone who's watching this later on, Proverbs will kick your butt in the best way. Proverbs will gather you, honey. So, I hope I'm quoting this in the right book, but there's a story in the Bible of basically a poor man in the town who knew the layout to the whole town. And so the generals and the army folks were trying to figure out how to engage with their enemies in order to protect the town. And so somebody found him, and they were like, find the guy who knows the city plans. So he gave them everything he knew, gave them the information, helped them build a strategy. And at the end of the day, they said, great, thank you, appreciate you, and completely discarded him.
Wow.
So someone who was on the bottom right, had the knowledge that the people on the top needed. And you would think that that knowledge might have elevated him or brought him to a new status, but it did nothing. It did nothing for him. So sometimes knowledge or favor doesn't translate into status. So
Wow.
that's just a reminder to me to like authority, knowledge, spiritual authority doesn't always come with a package deal with status. So you can't
Mm,
assume that ever.
wow. Man, say it for the people in the back, because sometimes that's not always the case. And it's just so refreshing to see that with you. And my gosh, I'm just so honored that, yeah. Wow, this is so great. So I want to talk a little bit about your projects. I mean, for those who don't know, I mean, Tamika Ward in Orange is the New Black, Black Girl Magic and Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I know you've got projects coming up, Delilah. What has been your favorite thing to work on so far?
Well, favorites are hard. That's the thing I'm working on next. Like my favorite thing is always the thing that's in the present, the thing that's opening me up, the thing that's stretching me. I think one of the questions you had before was like, what inspires you to stay in this game? And I just want to get better. Like no matter what I've done in the past, it's great, but it was the past. What can I do now? How can I grow? Who can I collaborate with? Who's gonna stretch me? What project might I bring something to stretch the project in a different way? So my favorite is whatever I'm working on now. Whatever is the next thing. That's the thing that excites me the most.
I love that. Listen, 5 minutes. I hate you right now. Oh my gosh. This
The past. You got to leave the past. It's like, cool, bye. That was great. But
wow.
what's the present? What's now? What are we doing now?
Yeah. That reminds me of something. I was watching an interview of Michael Jackson, and there was this interviewer, and he was saying, "You don't have any of your, records up, or any of your like Grammys, or any of that." And he was like, "That's so interesting. Like, you're one of the most accomplished entertainers of all time. Why don't you have like all your stuff behind you?" And he was like, "Because that will keep me locked into the past and." What I've accomplished, and I'm always trying to get better. So I don't keep my like accomplishments around. And to each his own. I'm not saying that's like the once and for all, but wow, what a way to stay relevant in your, just and wanting to
for me.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
amazing.
for the right person, being surrounded by their accomplishments, builds that confidence and is inspiring and pushes them forward. So it's all about knowing who you are and what works for you.
Wow, definitely. Man, 4 minutes that I have. What's next with you probably aren't able to talk about your new projects, but
I will say this about what's next. For me, writing. It's actually really scary to even like to say that out here and commit to it. But I've always been a journaler, and I've been a big fan of the Artist Way, the morning pages exercise. I don't know if for anyone who's unfamiliar with that, morning pages are where you wake up in the morning and freehand you just write 3 pages of whatever comes to mind. It helps me clear my mind. It's a nice little brain dump, so I can think clearly the rest of the day. And during the pandemic, I decided to really pursue that and make it a priority. So whatever comes out of that, I've decided that writing deserves to be a practice and a craft that I just want to get better at, and we'll see what happens.
Wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. The next writer. I can't wait to see all of what you do. I think there's so much inside of you that the world has not even yet to see. And it's amazing to see your process, kind of unfold. So
it's not smooth, but
wow.
We'll keep going.
Yeah, no, definitely. The creatives out there. I know there's going to be a lot of creators out there, a lot of actors out there. What is your encouragement after all this COVID stuff, after everything? We're in a new season, things are opening back up. If you could speak to that person maybe who has not had that gig open up or hasn't had that door open up, what would you say to that person?
I would say that there's always value in where you are. Whatever situation you're in right now, that your energy is best used saying, okay, what about where I am right now is going to get me to the next step? Because I think it's really easy to say, this is why things aren't working. Like, I can't do something because this is my present situation. And there's just no fruit from that mindset. So, if you have a day job and it's really hard to get time in to do that creative thing, acknowledge that, but you got 5 minutes. You have 10 minutes. You have time that you're on social media instead of doing the creative thing.
Mm.
Your situation right now is not the thing that's stopping you from doing whatever you want to do. I promise you.
Wow. That is so good. That is so good. How many times
Should
do
I
we
say it to myself?
listen? Somebody needs to tweet that. I don't know. Tweet that, Facebook that. That is so good. I think a lot of times we do consider our season the thing holding us back when it's so much of a mindset opens those doors for us. And really, if we can will it in our minds, and I didn't mean to go to church, but as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. You took us there. You took us.
As a man thinketh, I have the book.
Come on.
A little small version of it. Whenever I can find a place on the shelf, it's like a little reminder, and I set it up open so I see as a man thinketh whenever I pass it.
Wow. So good. I mean, can we have you back for a part 2
Of
sometime when you get back to New York?
Thank you for asking. Sure.
I mean, such a blessing. How can people connect with you? Where can they find you? How can we stay up to things, all things Susan Heyward?
The best place is Susan Heyward on Instagram, even though I'm not there all that often. I'm working on it. Same thing with Twitter. I'm at Susan Heyward on Twitter. And I'd say those are the best 2 places. Keep it
Amazing. Well, we're going to be keeping tabs on you. I'm so excited for your future. Everybody, this has been Susan Heyward with J. Kayla Perkins on Mental Wealth.